Hello, I am Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz. Today, July 22, 2012, 1:16 a.m., Birmingham. I want to talk about what just happened in Colorado. Horrible, horrible event that occurred at the movie theater. It boggles one's mind. And then prior to that, of course, you all know Columbine. What's going on? What in the world is going on? And you're hearing what's happening here, but you're not hearing what is happening in other locations in other countries around the world, especially the ones who are socialist. They do not report similar things there that we have here. And it is coming to a time where we are hearing outside major events like this, we're hearing less and less of the unexplained in other places in this country. Things that are reported every day to the police and to the media that no one is talking about. And I'm just wondering, are these kids, I'm talking about this gentleman that shot these children, I think ages were from 6 to 51 or something like that, and what's wrong? I mean, they have to be mindless to do that. But I'm going to get to another point, and I'm going to tell you some things that you are not aware of. A lot of things that you are not aware of. And I'm going to start with, recently it just ended, was an event that happened in Branson, Missouri. It's a prophecy in the news, big thing, many speakers with lots of information that you will not hear anywhere else. And like I said, it ended, and I don't remember the number of speakers. Seemed like there were perhaps 26 or 28. But most of them had brand new information that nobody has heard, or it has been swept under the rug, but it's new stuff. And this again is Prophecy in the News, host by Gary Stearman. And you'll hear a lot about this in the coming weeks. It'll take 2 months for me to get that information. But I want to tell you what's going on right now that I know of, and that if anybody looked hard enough, they can find it as well. What's not being released? I think I mentioned yesterday in a blog about the 600 penguins that washed up on a beach in Brazil. And I mentioned a few weeks ago that we just heard about in the last week about the whales and the dolphins that also washed up in Brazil and in Peru. They're not telling us about those things. You just have to find them. Cattle, I think I even mentioned that one. Hundreds are being killed, and sometimes every night. But when 60,000 died within a week's time in South America, and again, I'll have to say in Brazil, something's wrong, y'all. Fish. The number's not in the tens of thousands or tens of millions. The number's in the billions. And you just had these two events outside of the biggest rainfall ever reported in Japan. floods never seen before in Japan, and just 3 weeks ago there were hundreds of millions of sardines washed up on 2 beaches in Japan. But why only 2 beaches where they were a foot to 3 feet deep from the beach out to the water? And a typical beach, 60, 70, 80 feet wide. And the stench made a lot of people sick, although they tried to move them and put them in. Anyway, let's move on. Billions of fish, tens of thousands of birds still dying, not reported. Worst drought ever, you heard this, in our country, food-wise. Worst drought ever. Billions of dollars. And I believe many things like the new drugs that make people eat people. There have been several new cases not reported. Until I get the exact information, I'm not going to say anything until I can back up where I got it from, and I can't do that at this time. The twin girls in England, they were not the only ones that had this type of superhuman strength. They were not the only girls. They were not the only people. Also, there's other things that has happened that required superhuman strength. In other words, people get almost mortally wounded, but yet they're still doing their thing in the way of fighting and hurting. Bullets aren't stopping them, not quickly. And many more UFO alien sightings not reported. And I mean into hundreds. And here's one that got me, and I've known about this for years, but there's another one by citizens in Colorado. They say under the Denver airport, as reported by average people, saw much activity in that area and in the mountains of Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and in the North Pole and in the South Pole, in the area where a new lake was found under the South Pole. Freshwater lake, very large. And they know so little about it, but yet UFO activity seems to know a lot about it. Everything here that I've just mentioned, you can see parts of it talked in the Bible in book of Jasher, book of Enoch, and in some of the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's called the book of giants. Look at that. Look at them. They will explain a lot of what's happening today. And I think these crazy things are on the increase. And I do believe, sadly, but I do believe they are affecting our younger minds. What can we do? We need to go to the only source that can help us. And they're trying to kick that source out of our country, but never let that source leave your heart. And it's Jesus Christ. He is their only protector. No one else is going to do it. Jody Wolf, Expoz.